Now another little trick you can do, which is if you're doing an end cap like this, get some black paint, put it into your cap, keep it nice and flat. You take your cone, and obviously you want it to be 90 degrees straight down. So you come in like this and you punk it on and then spin it round just like that. Okay, and then you can lift up, and then obviously if you hold it sort of 90 degrees, it will just hold to that point and go through. And obviously you do have to depend on your depth, and the depth on that isn't very good, so we just wipe that off to reset it. The other little thing whilst I'm there, another little technique you can do, if you do that wet paint, put it on, rub it around like that, and then pull it up, you get a very nice weathered look on the tip of your nose where it's worn off the paint when it looks like it's been spinning, but that's just here nor there really. So what we're going to do, we'll just get that there, and we'll just get a brush, and we're just going to get some black paint, and what we're going to do is drop it and fill up the cap like so. We're just going to get this loaded up just like that. Okay, in with the nose cone, 90 degrees straight down, spinning round, and hopefully when we pull out, we're just going to tap it once on the paper to remove the bulbous bit, and then hopefully, and as it's done, it's the right height. Now we want to hold it like that, so a good way of doing it, as I would do, if you just get a clamp and then hang it on the side of your desk, something down here like that, and that way it'll draw to the front, it'll dry on the front and all the rest of it. And then just to help this back in the cap so you don't lose a load, just screw it up again onto your brush, back into your pot, and then when you put your top down. Okay, a couple of little things you see. We put the red, you don't get decals for it, on the fuel filler caps as done, and then also what I've done is I put the clear HUD glass is in now at the front here, which you probably can't see very well all the way back there, but that's in there now. If we bring you in a bit, you can see that just there. So now what we're going to do is put the frame on. Now unfortunately, as I'm going to talk about really when we finish the kit, there's lots of things wrong with this kit. This is another one, the glasswork doesn't fit particularly well, so it's really, I've filed out a little groove just on the underside here, but it's one of those ones where you can make a real hash of making this fit. So the best thing to do really, in all honesty, is to what I call a drop fit, where you're going to place it literally on top of how you want it to be, take back, have a look at it, and then glue it from the outside. Now what you can do with your gator glue, put a couple of little drops on, as I'll do here. So all we're going to do is put a little bit just on the inside edge all the way around, so you just get a little pool of it, because we don't want this to build up too much, we just want it to sit, to fill a little gap and really to hold it in place. Okay, so we do that, and then very carefully we're just going to drop this on into position, slide it in as best we can. Okay, then when you're happy of how it's located and it's sitting, okay, and check that your HUD glass hasn't fallen over either. So if I pick it up and zoom you in a bit, you can see it's a little bit better. So as you can see, it's like this. Now I don't know how well you can see that under there, but as you can see, you get this slight gap. So what we'll do, we'll come along when that's set, that first load of CA glue has set, and we're just going to drop a little bit under there, and then hopefully it'll just close that gap between the two, and because this stuff dries so clear, it'll look like it's just an extension of the glass going through. But it's not going to be too bad, I think, once we're done. It's just, as I say, I need that to sit there quite nicely. But as you can see, it's really starting to come to life now, having the engine uncovered, and obviously because we've dipped the rear cockpit, it makes for a nice little touch as well. Another little thing is you've got little locator tabs on the inside of the rear cockpit panels. It slides back so it holds itself nicely in position. So that's quite nice. So it holds it nicely in the open. But as you can see, that chrome effect really working well there under the light. As I say, I haven't got massive lights here. I've had to turn one of the lights off, otherwise it just glares everywhere. So that's why this show might be a little bit darker. That way I'm not being dazzled continuously. But there we go, we'll let those bits dry. In the meantime, we can get on with a few little other bits and pieces, get the undercarriage fitted on, very straightforward. It just has a location tab. Drop a CA glue I'm going to put on there, just a drop to hold it, and then I'm going to come in with some liquid cement to weld that gear into position. If you're going to be moving it around, there is a nice little touch that the undercarriage does fold up on itself, but I'm not going to be worried about that at all. But we can get all those bits together. Okay, so we've moved on a little bit here. We've obviously got the undercarriage on. I've also, that one's just sat there for the moment, put the pylons on as well. Now I've had to take a little bit of the actual pin that holds it in for the actual pylons. The rear one you're going to have to take a bit off, otherwise it butts up against, as we've got the weapons bays for the gun racks on there. Obviously make sure you get the missile holders the right way round, otherwise you're going to be at a funny angle. So they've got to go in the right way. We've also run a little bit of thin gator glue just around the edges, just as a little gap filling thing, because we're saying about that canopy not being the most brilliant fit in the world. So that's okay, that's all done. We've also just satin coated the entire nose with the prop, so we can just blend in those decals, blend in nicely, because obviously it's on a flat coat versus anything else. So that is going to fit in just like that, and we're getting very, very near the end now. Gear is on, used super glue, and then I went around and gave it a drop of the extra thin, just so it welds the plastic to make it a nice firm fit. Same with the rear. Unfortunately, the big thing is, I was hoping over time the tyres might sort of bed in a little bit better, or sort of, you know, I don't know really. I don't know really what's wrong. They are oversized for the hubs, if I'm honest. Your best bet, in all honesty, is to go and get yourself a resin replacement set from somewhere, because those rubber tyres, whilst they look quite nice, and the initial thing is with the hub and that, you think, oh great, that'll work quite well. The theory is the tyres are just oversized, and there is the problems running right the way through this kit. The photo etch parts don't fit. The resin, the rubber parts don't really fit. So in a lot of cases you'd be better off just getting a few little replacements for it. The cockpit section itself, for a 132, pretty basic, I have to say. It's not the best in the world, so there again, you might be better off just to pop out and get yourself a resin replacement for it if you're going to do it. Right, what are we going to do next? We're going to get the lights all fitted on. They're going to go on in a moment, just clear parts with a little bit of clear green and with the red and the blue, or the green, whichever way we do it, just on there like that. And then we can make a decision on what we're going to do with these housings on the fuselage side. It goes on, clicks on, sits in there very well, but what I'm thinking is actually fixing one side permanently and then having the other side exposed so you can see the engine. It gives a nice little touch. So I might fix this side on there permanently. There again, there's a problem with the decaling, just checking the references. Obviously we've got the witch. She's flying towards the nose on one, and on the other side she's flying towards the tail. Obviously when the nice people designing the actual decals, they forgot to reverse them. So you've got two going the same way. Slight problem with it. If it's noticeable, if you're that worried about it, then obviously you can either get yourself a second or a replacement set of decals and do it like that. So what we're going to do now is pull it all together. We're going to get those on there. We're going to get the fuel tanks. They have little rods fitted, very straightforward. They're just going to clip on, and we can make our way to the end. Okay, all done. So there we are. We're all finished off now, looking fantastic. We've put on the little clear caps are on there. Obviously we've got the aerial back here. We've got the doors down the back. Navigation lights, tiny spiddly little things you've ever seen, but they're on there now. The kit. Well, fors and against. Against, the photo etch and the rubber parts just don't work. Don't use them, throw them away. The cockpit for a 132, to be totally honest, it's far too simple. They've overcomplicated the way that those side panels and the plug-in parts, if you like, for the electronics and various bits and pieces all go on. You know, you get a better detail, to be honest, in a 148 Tamiya kit dating back 20-30 years now. So from that point of view, there is some resin sets out there. Best to go for one of them if you're going to do this. Other little bits and pieces that are a nice touch, obviously you've got the engine here. There again, nice engine, all there. Could be a little bit better, so perhaps a resin replacement there if you're going to really have it on display and on show as well. Nice little touches that go with it is obviously having all the movable surfaces. There again, I don't know, seems to be somewhat over complicating the process, the way that they actually are using the photo etch parts to make them. You know, you could do it a lot easier with just using plastic. Dry fitting, obviously we've got here for the cowling that covers. They do go on, but I had to give it a little bit of a fiddle to get those to fit on there, to be a nice fit, to get these as a loose fit, because unfortunately it's slightly wider than it allows. Usual little problem there, so I had to make a few little adjustments in there, but that's one of those things where it's going to take time to do it. Apart from that, the kit itself goes together very, very well. Wing root, probably your only problem area you're going to have with it. It's not the best one in the world, so the way I did it was super glue and filler. Just whack it all in there and then go for it afterwards and re-rivet. Obviously we've done this one, as you can see, in this sort of chromey finish, or as close to chrome as I can get it. When you catch this in the right lights and the various bits and pieces, it really is very bright. There again, this is under one light under here, purely because if I do it with two lights, it just reflects and blinds everything. So from a camera's point of view, that's why it's under sort of muted light. Very, very well. Went on using the gloss black primer to give a nice finish on there first. When you use normal Alclads, really it's whatever you're going to spray onto will show through. It has to be a perfect finish, so take your time with it if you do want a high shine finish like this, and you'll be okay. Otherwise, if you're going to use any of the other Alclads, you can get away with just a normal very smooth surface on there. Remember, all dragon kits, no matter what it seems to be, if it's armour, aircraft, boats, no matter, they all tend to have that release film on there, so you're going to have to get rid of that first. Either wash the parts first or make sure you prime well, because paint will not stick to it. But apart from that, you'll be okay. So there you go. Nice little photo here that I managed to pull off the net. That's basically one from back in the day, with all the crew there, which is a nice little touch which I found with it. Bit of a special one for this. This one is actually a commission for my dad, because I haven't seen him for many years. So I thought I'd give him a bit of a Christmas present, although a bit belated now. But there we go. I hope you've enjoyed the build, and if you have, join me again next time.